telling everybody the good news, the core of the joy, and I appreciate that.
She usually gets you there by preaching from across the top.
What's going on, y'all? It's Josh from Team Super Shoe, and welcome back to another episode of The Shoe Show. We are not talking about Nike Vapor Maxes now. We're talking about the one and only Corey LaJoie, the super shoe of NASCAR, and just anything NASCAR related. Super pumped to have you guys here today. We have somebody on that's not necessarily Spire or Corey related. He is a NASCAR driver in the Arca Menard Series. He is a NASCAR driver in the Truck Series, Craftsman Truck Series, and soon to be the Xfinity Series here in a couple of weeks. Mr. Armani Williams. He caught our friend Michael Bostic's eye at Talladega last year. Michael has he brought his sister to her very first race last year at Talladega. Morgan DeLoach, who is also joining us as well as Mike, and she is on the autism spectrum, and this race car driver Armani Williams, he also is on the autism spectrum, and she latched onto him and thought that, how cool is it that this guy is, not only killing it on the racetrack, he's also going to school and becoming an engineer, and he's living his life and not letting this illness get him down. I think that's pretty cool. And it is, we are in April, which is Autism Awareness Month. So I really wanted to hear his story. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope it gives you somebody extra to cheer for come Arca, Trucks, or Xfinity. If y'all could please like, comment, subscribe if you're on the YouTube. If you're on the audio realm, please rate and review. And finally, if you haven't hung out with us on Team Super Shoe, that's where it's all started. Team Super Shoe on Facebook is a group on Facebook where we have a lot more conversation here there than we do here. This is more or less just an outlet. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for hanging out with us, and I hope you enjoy Armani Williams.
Armani Williams from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Born originally in Ann Arbor, Armani moved to Grosse Pointe, Michigan at a young age and still resides there to this day. At age 4, Armani was completely consumed by and enthralled with cars. He spent hours playing with his Matchbox cars. He fell in love with them. The fascination of a fast machine, the loud engine. It was all something that he drew into. At age 8, his parents enrolled him in a go-kart racing school in Jackson, Michigan. An 8-week course teaching everything from the basic fundamentals of racing all the way up to more crucial things like understanding your line. One particular Christmas, he was gifted a number 97 die-cast of Kurt Busch. That was his formal introduction to the sport of NASCAR. And you could say that this is where a dream was born. After running go-karts, he moved up to a division similar to those of the Bandolero cars. He quickly found success, tallying 18 wins and 2 championships along the way. Now, in the racing world, you prove your talent by the small number attached to your name in the finishing order. Armani's name was at the top of that list with a number 1 numerous times. And with that success comes attention from those in the motorsports world who can help you pave the road to further success in higher divisions. His next step came in the Arca Pro Truck Series. They raced in the Midwest, in places like Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. Now, while this series is now defunct, it certainly gave Armani a platform on a broader spectrum to showcase his talent. Through NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program, Armani was able to eventually secure a seat in the NASCAR Pinty Series in Canada. In just his 6th start, he was able to capture his first top 10, finishing 9th at Loudon, New Hampshire, the Magic Mile. 2021 seen Armani come into what is presently known as the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Coming to the Truck Series was his quote, "I'm here" moment. This moment was the catalyst of a lifetime worth of work. His primary goal coming into his first race was much the same as many other rookie drivers. Complete all the laps and gain that ever so valuable and crucial seat time. Now, up until this moment, Armani has now competed in the Arca series, most recently in the 2024 Daytona race, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and is now looking to make the Xfinity series his primary focus for 2024. So you might be asking yourself, well, what makes this driver different than any other? Many other drivers started racing at a young age. Many other drivers discovered a love for cars by playing with 1/64 scales as a child. The difference maker with Armani Williams is autism. At age 2, he was diagnosed to be on the autistic spectrum. His parents revealed this to him while he was in middle school. Now, many others could have put their dreams on hold once they learned that they viewed the world a little differently than most others. But not this man. Armani has chosen to not let this be something that stops him, but instead uses it as ammunition to say, I can do this. I will do this. I am doing this. Armani is putting his best foot forward by showing the world that you can view the world differently than others. We can all still accomplish our dreams regardless. Breaking down barriers and showing the racing community that he is here to play, Armani uses his platform to bring awareness to autism. We are proud to welcome NASCAR driver Armani Williams to the show. Armani, the floor is yours.
All right, we'll start in 3, 2.
Man, well, I feel honored that y'all asked me to be on the shoe show.
All right, y'all. We are here with the one and only Armani Williams. Armani, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Great. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thank you for coming, man. It's super cool to get to talk to you and hear your story. Normally this is a show that we talk about Corey LaJoie, Inspire Motorsports. However, my co-host and one of my best friends, Michael Bostic here, he went to Talladega last year with his sister, Morgan DeLoach here, and it was her first race. She also is on the autism spectrum, and to hear what she had to go through that day and how much she enjoyed it, it was pretty cool. And they discovered you, and she automatically latched on and became your biggest fan. So we thought it'd be kind of cool. It is April. It is Autism Awareness Month, and we just thought it'd be pretty cool to honestly have you and her and Mike talk and just get to know you. Hopefully, the fans find a new driver to cheer for in Xfinity and trucks. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty appreciate it, and appreciate that little intro too. Like that was very well put together that you guys did. So it means a lot.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We typically try to put together some type of small documentary for whatever guests that we have on, whether it's a driver or a spotter, a crew chief, an engineer, what have you. So we always, when we have a guest come on the show, we want them to feel like the spotlight is on them, and we want to be able to paint a picture of a solid effort that was put in to not only make sure that we understand who the guest is that we're interviewing, but so that our broader viewing audience has a chance to be introduced to whoever we may be talking to. So, Armani, I'll get started with this. This is my sister, Morgan DeLoach. And so, as Josh spoke of earlier, last October, after many years of trying, I finally convinced this young lady to go to a NASCAR race with me. And of course, she battles issues with sensory, right? With her hearing. So
yeah,
the way that a lot of people may determine what a loud noise is, it is over magnified to this young lady. And so I told her, I said, listen, we'll do the best we can to get you the best ear protection that we can, and I'll help walk you through the massive crowds of people that are there. Talladega holds probably 150,000 people on any given Cup Series weekend, so there's a lot that goes into that. And so I knew that there was a chance that we could drive 5 hours up the road to Talladega, and it may be all too much for her. We may have had to turn around and go back home. But that was a risk that I was willing to take, because you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? So I wanted that to be an opportunity that I at least tried to afford to her. So we and I'll let her elaborate on this later on in the interview, but I will say, on that particular weekend last October, I had never heard of an Armani Williams. I will say that I am a devout follower of the Cup Series, and obviously Corey LaJoie, right? But and because of my sister, she let me know that, Michael, there's this driver in the Truck Series, and he's got autism just like me. And I feel like I can identify with this guy. He gives me so much encouragement, because speaking on her behalf, she knows what she encounters day by day, and the struggles or the obstacles that she feels that she has to overcome just in day-to-day life. I feel like she really drew into you and looked up to you, because you're doing these magnificent things with the same viewpoint that she might have on a lot of things in life. So I have to give Morgan here credit for my discovery of Armani Williams. I've spent some time trying to research and find out more who this young hotshot driver is from Grosse Pointe, Michigan, and apparently he's a hell of a guy. So I'm just super thrilled that you're taking this time with us, man, and it's really cool to kind of see this journey come full circle, right? So so I'll start with this first question. So in that short documentary, we learned that you've been a fan of this sport from a young age. Who were your racing heroes then, and who do you maybe look up to now and draw inspiration from, and why?
Yeah, well, first, before I answer that question, I will say, like, you guys picked a great racetrack to go take Morgan to her first race. I mean, nothing better than Talladega, right? The high speeds, like, incredible racing. So you picked a darn good racetrack to go take her to her first race. But to answer your question, like, obviously loving racing at a young age, like, I think, like, growing up, I was always a Jimmy Johnson fan. He always had that blue Lowe's number 48, and, like, he was just such a great driver in his prime, and just winning a lot of races, winning a lot of championships. Like, so I always had that envy of him, that, like, I almost wanted to just understand, like, what makes him so good, like, what things does he do on the racetrack, what things he does off the racetrack, and, like, over time, like, the more I kind of learn about Jimmy Johnson, the more I kind of want to take part of, like, the things that he does that makes him a better race car driver, not only off the track and on the track, and almost apply it to my own personality. So, like, Jimmy Johnson and the success he's had in NASCAR, it kind of inspired me to want to try and get into racing as well. And then what's inspired me a lot more was seeing guys like Bubba Wallace, who's made his way up to NASCAR Cup Series. Like, he didn't have an easy road to get all the way to the top, but he's there. Even learning about a driver named Wendell Scott, who, like, back in 1963, he was the first African American driver to win a NASCAR Cup race. So, like, all those drivers, is what really inspired me to want to push to be a race car driver, so that I can be one of those guys when I get to the top. But here I am, in one of NASCAR's top 3 levels, and so I want to continue to make a name for myself, to show people that, like, I truly belong here, and this is something that I've always strived to be.
So why Jimmy Johnson? Why not Jeff Gordon? Jeff Gordon was my childhood hero. You should have been a Jeff Gordon fan, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I wasn't like, I like Jeff Gordon too. Like, I will say, like, in some races, if like Jimmy Johnson was out of the race in any time, like I always kept an eye on like Jeff Gordon 24, like just see where he's running, see if he's got a shot at winning. So believe me, you know, like I like Jeff Gordon back then, you know, just not my number one driver, but he'd definitely be like one of my favorites, that's for sure.
Listen, Mike, statistics are statistics, okay? You can't beat the numbers. JJ is the GOAT, so...
Listen, I'm not going to have this debate while I have this NASCAR driver spending our time with us. But listen, 93 wins and 4 championships, and that's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, both of them can be GOATs too. I mean, like they're both like Hall of Fame drivers. Like they were great at what they did. So
that's right. No, it's just friendly banter. So maybe that impresses Josh a little more with you. He grew up as a diehard Jimmy Johnson fan and was fortunate to be in attendance. And I believe it was in 2006 at the Daytona 500, was able to watch him win that race and then seen him secure and win a couple of championships down in Homestead, Miami. So I am kind of jealous of Josh there. I went to 30 or 40 races as a kid and never seen Jeff Gordon win a single race. Best I ever seen him do was second at Fontana, California in 2009. We got beat by Matt Kenseth.
You know, like I will say, like now that you mentioned that, like I am kind of jealous that Josh was able to see Jimmy Johnson win, because I can remember like going to races as a young fan, you know, whether like I went to like say Daytona, Michigan, Indianapolis, and other races, right, as a kid. And I don't know why, but it's like every time I went to a race in person, it seemed like something would go wrong with Jimmy Johnson, whether it was something mechanical or like he get wrecked out. And it's just like, oh, man, like, what am I supposed to do here? You know, like my favorite guy, he's out. So who else am I gonna cheer for? So like, believe me, I've been in your same shoes, Michael.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's funny, man. Yeah, I've felt the same too many times before. I mean, almost enough times to consider not going to a race ever again, just so my guy would finally win again. But
right, I mean, you know, there's just luck for everybody, I guess.
That's right. So, how does it feel to know that you are someone whom people look up to as a hero? As I mentioned before, this young lady beside me here, you are a hero to her. And you talked about heroes, you know, like Jimmy Johnson and Bubba Wallace and Wendell Scott and some of these other folks. How much of that is almost like a full circle moment for you to know that at one point you were a kid and you had people that you looked up to, and now you have young people like my sister that look up to you?
Yeah, I mean, like it's pretty surreal. You know, like I can think of like countless moments like through this journey I've taken to try to be a professional race car driver, you know, just reach my dream, you know, just thinking of all the hardships that I had to take to get me to where I have to be. And then, you know, just later on realizing that like, hey, you know, like I'm not just trying to be a race car driver. There's something bigger going on, you know, like being able to understand that there's millions of other people like in America or in this world that I had to go through what I had to go through with autism, and was always trying to find something that could interest them, something that like I can be successful in life, you know? And so like seeing like seeing ways of like how I was able to become a race car driver, I almost want to inspire millions of others to have that same chance, that same opportunity to, you know, remind them that, you know, autism doesn't have its limitations. You know, like it's just one of those where you just got to put it in the back of your mind and believe in what you know to be good at, you know, something that you have a passion for. You know, if it's a dream that you want to go after, go for it, you know, as long as you continue to courage no matter what. And, you know, you have the right support system behind you that is willing to like help you in every step of the way to achieve your dream. Anything's possible. It don't matter, what you have and what you're dealing with, that anybody can be successful in this world that we share, so it's just something that I've always wanted to try and hit home on, and like reach out and help people like me that are in need for some sort of positivity, to keep moving forward in life. So like it's something I really enjoy.
All right, so we're a couple questions deep now. You got anything that you want to offer back on any of this information that you've heard? Anything you maybe want to ask him as far as the responses that he's given?
I do think that it's very cool to see someone that I can relate to in a very highly structured professional environment. I personally have dreams of going to the PCRA or the NFR one day, but there are no openly autistic rodeo professionals. So to see someone doing so good is very inspiring, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's just that's what it's all about. You just gotta find something that you enjoy, and just think of like how exactly can I achieve that dream, And so like, anything's possible. You just need to, continue to work hard, and just keep moving forward, like you always are gonna hit some bumps on the road, but it's just as long as you continue to believe in yourself to achieve what you want to achieve, then you're gonna make it. You're going to make it for sure.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's awesome, man. I feel bad. So I messaged you, before we got on the air tonight, and I told you that my sister, might get a little emotional meeting you, and it looks like it's me over here that's getting a little emotional. It's this is super special, man. And as I said earlier, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
So you're currently pursuing a degree. You're currently pursuing a degree in college. Can you tell us about those goals and what it's like to balance school through the week and being a professional stock car driver on the weekend?
Yeah, so as of right now, I live in Grosse Pointe. So I actually go to a school that's here in Michigan called Oakland University, which is in Rochester Hills, Michigan. I major in mechanical engineering there, and I just felt that like it was important that I finish my education. Like obviously with a sport like racing, there's no like, degree that's required or anything that nature to be able to be in a sport of NASCAR. But I always think of it as like, there's drivers that can make it for 20 plus years, and there's drivers that, may last like probably 5 or 7 years before like, opportunities gone awry and they got to do something else, so it's like, what else can you do other than just driving race cars? And so for me, I just felt that it was important, like after talking with my family, that like, I go to college, be able to get a degree so that like there can be other job opportunities down the road that when it comes time to hang up the helmet and do something else. So that's something that like I want to take a lot of pride in, and help set myself for the future very well, so that I got a lot of options. And, trying to balance that and then, racing at the same time, it's been a challenge. Like right now I'm a 6-year senior, so like there's a lot of things that I've always had to keep an eye on, excuse me, whether that was, races that I was going to compete in, or like there was an event that was racing related or sponsorship related that like I had to attend to, so I always try to plan things like with talking with the professors, let them know like, hey, if I have to be somewhere at a certain day and time, I may not be there, what is it that I'm going to miss? I think about like, homeworks and, exams that may be coming up that I might miss that like I'm gonna have to get a head start on so that I don't get a 0 or bad grade on, because like I want to make sure I keep my grades up, right? So I mean, there's just a lot to chuckle around, but like over these years of me racing and being in college, I've been able to manage it very well. So it hasn't been as much of a struggle as I thought it was going to be.
So as a side note here, I was able to see that correct me if I'm wrong, but it's an engineering degree that you're pursuing, correct?
Yeah, a mechanical engineering degree.
Okay. So obviously you've got the driving part of it down, right? Like you understand where the loud pedal is, the brake pedal, and turn it left. If you don't mind me asking personally, do you ever try to get hands-on in the shop with the different cars or trucks that you may be racing? Like, do you know anything about, whether it's welding to chassis or hanging composite body parts on the cars or just anything like that? Is that anything that interests you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, like early on, like I kind of knew that like there was more to being a race car driver than just driving a car. Like you think about like pit crews or just people in general, mechanics who work hard on race cars, and I knew that like for me, I had to get at least a little bit of knowledge of it. So like I think a little early on, like I had like, it kind of caught my interest to want to learn more about the mechanics of the car and how they work with like the chassis, the engine, the brakes, transmission, things of that nature. Like I can remember, like we would have our Banner car in my dad's garage, and like, after we got back from a race, like we would make sure we like spend most of the day in terms of like getting it all set up for the next race. So like I would take the tires off, take the brakes off, clean the brakes, help like change the oil as well. And then, put like the new tires back on so that we were ready to load up in the trailer. And most of the time, like I like to be more, into like the crew's head, like really understanding like what exactly do we have this car set up for? Like what exactly am I going to be feeling before we get out there? So like I'm always like, besides the crew, trying to work with the crew that I'm with, just so we understand, so I understand what I'm getting myself into. So, I've always been into like a little bit of mechanics of the car. It's really catched my interests more and more. And it's something that, I wouldn't mind, getting more hands-on.
Well, personally, I encourage you to do that. I've kind of been a blue collar guy most of my life. I've always had to wrench on my own vehicles and kind of learn whatever knowledge I could to save from having to take that car to a repair shop or a dealership or what have you. So I think there's a satisfaction personally that can be found in that. So yeah, man, keep doing that. And so
Yeah.
this will kind of be my last statement before I turn it over to my sister here. She's got some questions. She's got 3 of them that she wrote personally for you. So looking forward to handing that over to her. So my last one is April is Autism Awareness Month. What is your mission when bringing awareness to autism through your platform in racing? And also maybe highlight the Autism Foundation that you work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, I've had this Race for Autism Foundation Day for several years now, like in 2015. Basically a nonprofit organization in which like I used my racing platform to help bring awareness, understanding, and inclusion for autism. Like I think it's the main thing really is just to reach out to, these communities that are related to autism, or like, speak at companies that like are having an event that's related to autism, and, just kind of talk more about, not only my journey of like going through autism and then being a race car driver, but more so trying to help people understand what exactly autism is and what we as people with autism have to go through on a daily basis, and help people to realize that, all we need is just some inclusion. We need some understanding and support. So that way, and millions of people with autism, they can be able to have the opportunity to chase whatever dreams that they're passionate for, to want to be successful at in life, And so like, it's just one of the things that like, I always wanted to take a pride in, just to try and be like that role model, that spokesperson to, help people understand about autism, and, just to always preach about, wanting to see millions of individuals with autism be able to garner opportunities in anything that they do in life, so that we have a chance to be successful at what we want to do, you know. So that's pretty much the main thing with like what we do around months like this with autism awareness. So, you know, it's something that I'm really proud to, you know, keep it going.
I appreciate that, man. And I just want to personally say thank you for those efforts that you put forth to bring more awareness to people on the autistic spectrum, right? My sister, I have learned more about autism in the last 4 or 5 years than I thought that I ever would. And it truly is, like you said, it's something that, again, in my personal opinion, I feel like autistic people need to, like you said, feel included, right? Show that they're just like the rest of us. Like, it does not matter that you view things a little differently, or maybe you hear things differently, or you perceive things differently. All these things. At the end of the day, there's no such thing, again, in my opinion, there's no such thing as a normal way to see, view, or interpret anything. We're all human beings, and we all have a different way to see things. So I think that's really awesome. You know, what you're doing, man. And so with that, I'll turn this over to my sister. So you're right here at the top. And everybody, welcome Morgan DeLoach. This is the first time she's ever been in the spotlight. She's hosting a podcast, guys.
Okay, so my first question, because sensory struggles are something that I deal with very personally, many autistic people are very sensory avoidant, sensory seeking, or a mix of both or neither. And I was wondering how your particular sensory profile has affected your career, if at all.
I think as of right now, the sensory part of it, like, it is not really as big of an issue as it was probably when I was growing up as a child. Like, I can think of times where, you know, like, all the surroundings that, you know, was around me, you know, I wasn't real comfortable with it. And as far as like what you mentioned about, like, Michael, about, like, you know, sensory hearing, all that, like, same thing happened to me as well. You know, like, there's times where we go to festivals or amusement parks, and, you know, we be there all day long till like it got to night, and then they start shooting fireworks, and, you know, just for whatever reason, I just hated the sound of fireworks. Just wanted to get somewhere inside and just not hear them. Right. I can even remember a time when my dad surprised me into taking me to Michigan International Speedway to watch the Cup cars practice. And, you know, even like trying to watch like these Cup cars are racing on TV, it doesn't really do justice, just like how loud these cars are when they zoom right in front of your face. Right. And just, man, they were so loud that we had to try and look for any sort of headphone souvenir for me to put on whenever cars were on track, you know. So it's just, I mean, so like, obviously I had issues with those, but then like over time, it's like I started to realize that, you know, in terms of like my surroundings, that, you know, it's just a matter of just repeating it, like just getting those same surroundings over and over and over again until, like, you know, you start getting used to it, and then you start being comfortable. It's the same thing that you go with everyday life. You know, whenever you're trying to get good at something, you just got to keep practicing and just keep repeating it over and over again until you get it, you understand it, right? You're used to it. And then therefore, you know, it doesn't seem as difficult and it doesn't seem as hard, you know? So, I mean, for me, that's something that I've had to overcome time after time after time again, you know? And, you know, right now it doesn't have as big of effect on me right now as it would have been, say, like, you know, 10, 15 years ago, per se.
Okay. I appreciate you answering.
You're at question 9.
Okay. So my second question was, in a sport where you must be very hypervigilant, has there ever been a time you've been anxious or worried on the track? And I came up with this question when I read that you had an accident coming into pit road at Charlotte of last year. And I know that must have been kind of very anxiety inducing.
Yeah, I mean, probably the only kind of anxiety from that was just how hard I hit that wall, per se. You know, because like most of the time, I'm not nervous when I'm inside a race car. You know, in fact, I enjoy being in a race car. Like it just feels like my comfort zone for me. But you know, that night at Charlotte, you know, like we were having a tough night, you know, but we were just trying to finish the race, complete all the laps, right? And you know, like I remember, like we made a pit stop. And you know, I tried to come out of the pit box. I stalled it, right? And I'm trying to get the thing fired up, but like the thing wouldn't fire up. So like obviously we need to try to recharge the battery to like help get the car running again. I mean, it wasn't just a case where like we were having like fuel problems where the truck just wouldn't start. It was just like a battery thing where it's like, you know, if I stalled it once, like we had a hard time trying to get that thing refired, you know. So we had to go behind the wall for 8 laps, and then I go back out, right? And, you know, out of the corner of my eye, like I look in my rearview mirror and like I see something smoking on the back of my truck, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. Do I have a tire that's rubbing on the corner panel? Like, am I gonna have a tire go down? You know, and then as soon as I come out of turn 4, I could feel the truck just get sideways on me. You know, next thing you know, I'm full on sideways trying to save it, try to catch it. But that was a tough spot to where I spun out because like there's the end of that pit wall to where those yellow barrels are, you know, and then you got the inside of the pit wall where the crews are, you know. So it's like I had a little bit of a gap to try and get the truck to straight out. And I thought when I got it straightened out, I caught it. And then that overcorrected and then just wham, got into the pit wall, you know. So that kind of shocked me a little bit. Like, especially because, like, even though I may have not gone as fast hitting the wall, like, yeah, that was a pretty hard shot. Like, most of the time, those pit walls where the crews are behind, those are all concrete walls. So, like, once you hit it, they don't deflect, they don't move, you know? So it's like you take a head-on shot on that, you know, you're going to feel it. So, like, you know, if anything, it was just the anxiety of just, like, how hard I hit it. And then I just wanted to make sure I was okay and that, like, you know, I wasn't, you know, so out of breath that it took me a long time to get out of the car, you know, but thankfully I was all right. And it's just a testament to, you know, NASCAR, you know, building like safe race cars over these years, you know, like that an accident like that, I don't know if I would have walked away from it, but thankfully I did. So, and, you know, hopefully we don't get into more accidents like that. We don't need more than that. So.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. But for my last question, NASCAR is a very expansive sport and it has a lot of stories to tell. Over the course of your career, is there an overarching story that you would like to tell?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. I mean, there's a lot that's happened in my career. So, I mean, like, I think like one of the more interesting aspects of it was probably when I ran at New Hampshire in the NASCAR Pinty Series back in 2018. You know, and I already had ran with the series like for several races in 2017, but like this is the first time that they gone to the US outside of Canada, right? You know, and so given that I'm an American driver, you know, they wanted me to be in that race. And you know, I think it was just the fact that once I got there, you know, all the racers that I race against kind of remember who I was, you know, and we're just happy that I was able to be there. And, you know, it's just even with how expensive the sport can get, you know, like I think the fact that like people recognize you for not just you being a race car driver, but like, you know, they understand my story, you know, and that they're just happy to see me, you know, still like grinding, being at the racetrack and just, you know, going out there being competitive, you know, trying to, you know, win. And so like I think just and these are like considered the best Canadian drivers in the world, you know, so guys like DJ Kenton, who's raced in NASCAR in the US, and then Alex Tagliani, who was a former Indy 500 pole center many years ago, right? Just being able to garner the respect of those guys, just to let me know that, like, hey, like, I'm doing something big here, and I gotta, try and keep it going.
Anything else you want to follow up on with that? Good. All right, so we'll turn it over to you, Josh. You got a couple things for Mr. Williams here. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, so you had mentioned that you were going to school for engineering, and you're obviously racing, and you've continuing to build your resume. Is there maybe a 5-year goal or a long-term goal you have for your career?
Well, obviously, like, so I got like pretty much like until the fall of this year till I graduate. So number one, I'm looking forward to that because it's been 6 long years, right? But I would say, like, at least down the road, like after I get my degree in mechanical engineering in college, obviously, like, I want to still continue racing. Like, I feel like at that point, now that I don't have to worry about school stuff anymore, like, I want to try. I want to try and find a way to move down to North Carolina to, continue pursuing my racing career, because that's where all the NASCAR folks are at, all the NASCAR shops, the NASCAR owners, the NASCAR drivers, and it's like, I feel like, I have to be down there to be able to, continue on with my career. And then, maybe at the same time, like, be able to, get like a job in engineering. I've always felt like I want to be in a job to where I can be a little more hands-on with cars, whether that's like helping to tune them, whether that's helping to fix them, things of that nature. It's just so I got that kind of knowledge, and, so, like, at least down the road, that's what I want to try and do, is just be around cars and just racing for as long as I possibly can. It's just something that I've always liked as a kid. It's just, and it's really the only thing I've ever known in my life, so I want to continue to stay involved in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. So the 2024 is upon us, and this year, we've already got to see you racing in the truck series. You got Arca as well. Is there anything else that we can look forward to cheering you on for this year?
Yeah. So, like, as of right now, like, the plan is to try and move up and run the Xfinity races. Like, running that Daytona race in the Arca was a big stepping stone at that. Like, to at least be able to get approval to run the super speedways, but also, to help me, have an opportunity to move up to Xfinity, and now it's just continuing to build and get better, as you move up through each level, so right now, like, this year's going to be Xfinity, and, we're going to try and rock and roll with it. And, I mean, like, it's amazing. Like, we didn't know how far we can get, and we're getting this far to have the opportunity to run Xfinity. So let's just make the most out of it, right? And just see how far I can go. Whether that's I'll end up being in Cup, whether if I end up being Xfinity or truck or whatever. As long as I still stay in NASCAR and be a part of NASCAR's top 3 levels in the U.S., then yeah, that's something that I want to continue forward. And Xfinity is just another step in that.
Right. And I'd imagine I've heard, because of this new car, the Gen 7, I guess it is now, it's a lot more like the trucks. Is that would it be more beneficial to you to focus on trucks, or is Xfinity the better route to keep progressing?
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard that sentiment. But I would say, I think if I were to get into Cup and have to run like the next gen cars that they got now, like, I always feel like being in Xfinity, like, gives you a much more closer feel to what you might experience in Cup. Obviously, the Cup cars are different than Xfinity and trucks. Like the trucks is just basically like a pickup, almost like a pickup truck model, like, you know, that's just like a stock car, right? You know, and driving those like on the big tracks, you're always on rails and on edge every single lap, like you're just hustling, right? You know, whereas Xfinity, you know, you have to be technical with some finesse, you know, you like, because those cars don't have a lot of downforce, they can be challenging to drive, so you better be prepared to be able to have full control of those cars, you know. And I think like with Cup, it provides that a little bit, and so I think, you know, taking the Xfinity route, you know, like can set you up better, you know, if you're trying to make it to Cup, in my opinion.
Good deal. Yeah, no, it's definitely something that, you know, Mike and I, we're just fans. We do this for the fans, by the fans, and but it's stuff that we've heard on, you know, on interviews and TVs and things like that. So it sounded like things have shifted a little bit, and instead of the Cup cars being more like Xfinity, they're more like trucks. But you know, of course, we don't know what it's like. So so Armani, man, well, you know, we're about to wrap this up. Wanted to let everybody know how we can follow you on social media and how we can continue to cheer you on.
Yeah, so like I got all social media platforms, like on Facebook or, you know, X, but I call it Twitter, you know, like everybody knows what that is, you know, and Instagram. You know, you can follow me there on Armani Williams or Team Armani Racing, or, you know, go to my website at www.teamarmaniracing.com to learn more about me. And, you know, in terms of like what I try to do to help give back to the autism community, since it's something that like I have a connection to and that I can relate to. And it's like, how can we help give back, you know? And like it'll definitely tell you a lot there, you know? So like you can follow me on pretty much all platforms.
Awesome. And what's your next race we can cheer you on at?
Yeah, so the plan right now is to try and run the Xfinity race at Dover in about a few more weeks, you know. So like that's pretty much what we're trying to shoot for. We'll see if it all like comes into form, you know, but that's what we're trying to go after as of right now.
Awesome. Well, Mike, you got anything left?
No, I just personally want to once again say thank you. This means a lot to, you know, Josh and I, and obviously my sister, and you know, you've been a privilege to have on the show. We appreciate all of your time and your in-depth responses. We appreciate you. We appreciate you not giving cookie cutter answers for our somewhat cookie cutter questions, right? So we appreciate that so much, and we understand that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending a little bit of this lovely Monday evening with the crazies over here at the Shoe Show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys having me on, and you know, believe me, you know what you get out of me, you know, like I'm always gonna tell you exactly what's on my mind all the time. You know, I don't try to sugarcoat anything. So, you know, I just always like, you know, talking with people like you know, just talking to anybody in general, you know, it's just, you know, it's very fun, you know.
So Morgan, if there's anything you want to offer, but I want to ask you personally, how does it feel to be a co-host on a major podcast, man? With your favorite driver, Mr. Armani Williams. What's that like? How's this been for you?
I'm anxious about it, but it feels cool. I haven't done anything like this before, so it's a new experience.
Well, I'm proud that we were able to offer this opportunity to you, to offer this opportunity with Armani. And so, yeah, man, this is just super cool on so many levels, and we appreciate you. We look forward to finding out more of what you got going on in 2024, and obviously we are all devout NASCAR fans, so we will be tuning in to whether you're in a Truck Series race or you're in that Xfinity ride in Dover. We'll be pulling for you. Now, while you may not be able to release what team or number that is, I kind of like seeing you in the 13 car. So if we can keep the number 13.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That's right. Well, we
Good
appreciate
deal.
you again. And Josh, is there anything you want to offer before we close this thing on up?
No, sir. But Armani, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for spending time with us, and super cool to hear your story. So I hope it encourages some people, and I hope that we've been able to bring some people onto your bandwagon. So I hope you stay safe out there at the racetrack and continue to make a difference out there, man.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad this all worked out. You know, it's great to be able to talk to you as well. You know, and yeah, I mean, it's just hopefully, you know, like people in the autism community can get a lot out of this, you know, because that's always the goal, right? You know, we want to try and encourage them, you know, then give them something positive to look forward to.
Awesome. All right, Armani. Well, I appreciate you, man. God bless. Stay safe, and we'll be cheering you on.
Yeah, thank you. Take care, guys.
All right, see ya.
Sir.
Armani, thank you so much for coming on the Shoe Show. It means a ton that you, you know, talked with us and, you know, not only shared your story with me and Mike and the viewers here, but you spoke to Mike's sister, who is also on the spectrum as well. And man, I am, it's pretty cool to see, you know, not only your career and where you're progressing, where you're going, and, you know, going to school and everything else, but, you know, your battle against your autism, and you know, that I look forward to seeing what you can do on the racetrack. And man, what a cool story. So otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much listening and watching. If you could please like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio realm, please rate and review. And if you are not hanging out with us on Facebook, that's where it's all started. Team Super Shoe, a group on Facebook where we talk much more there than we do here. This is more or less just an outlet to do cool things like to talk to Armani. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much. God bless, stay safe, and hey, go Armani Williams.